Time now for business news. Devin Murugan joining us from the annual Black Business Council Summit. Devin, a very good afternoon to you. I see that the Black Business Council is marking this year's event with a call to government. What are they saying?
Well, good afternoon, Brad. Yeah, simply to speed up economic transformation. Now, here's the backdrop to this year's conference, Brad. The Black Business Council highlighted the fact that we are 27 years into democracy, and despite that, all we've seen, they say, is a corporate restructuring, not necessarily economic transformation. And they say that number, if you look at it, and if you put a figure on it, it's just 30% of ownership that's been transferred to black South Africans. They're very frustrated about that, saying that, there should be a bit more ambitious targets by government. And they're saying policy should really work out to be more transformative. So I spoke to the president of the Black Business Council, Sandile Zungu, and he expressed a similar opinion. He says that, look, with this conference, they want to take it as an advocacy event. You've got about 5 ministers here over the next 2 days, CEOs as well lined up. And Sandile Zungu is saying just one message, that government really needs to understand that after 27 years, those policies of empowerment are not really coming through on the ground in terms of getting more black people economically active in the economy. Let's take a listen.
We must target that by 2030, which is 9 years from now, at least 70% of the economy of this country must be visibly in black hands. That the management of the economy, not just at the level of boards of directors, but also at senior level as well as middle management level, must be reflective of the demographics of this country.
Devin, I see that at the summit, the whole issue of the delayed auctioning of the spectrum, that's also hurting poor black South Africans, has come under the spotlight.
It has, and so too are a number of barriers and issues that tend to keep black South Africans economically less vibrant than the rest of the country, and spectrum is a big one. So let's just revisit what the spectrum issue is first, Brian. So government was to have, auctioned off spectrum. Spectrum is used, of course, by the mobile giants to increase their bandwidth, and the ultimate thing, or the ultimate goal, is to actually make data prices more cheaper once that auction takes place. Now, me and you both know that there have been delays for a very long time on this front, and we've had frustrations at this summit saying that, look, cheaper data not only helps ordinary consumers, but it allows for small black businesses to actually get their costs in order, to become more affordable when they execute whatever duties they had. So you had one CEO here, Mteto Nyati, the CEO of Altron, saying, look, this has to be done sooner than later because it really is an economic catalyst, if you like, for more activities and inclusive nature of the economy to unfold. Let's take a listen to that.
The unintended consequences of not allocating that spectrum is the fact that now we are sitting with many communities not having access to technologies, not having access to affordable connectivity. So this is the priority when we're talking about infrastructure under the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan. We need to make sure that we prioritize telecommunication.
Oh, interesting view there by Mteto Nyati, CEO of Altron. And how are the midweek markets doing at this hour?
Listen, Bradian, we're actually back to record levels that we saw last, at least a few months ago in March. And there's a reason for that. Two things happening globally. The one is that there is more and more data being released to suggest that the world economy is really recovering from this pandemic. We see restrictions easing, the rollout for COVID-19 vaccines, of course, other than South Africa, across the globe, in the developed world especially, is favorable. So the rollout's going as planned in that part of the world, and I think there's a sense of optimism among investors, certainly with equities, and that's panning out and being transferred to the JSE. So we're now at levels that we last saw, record highs near that we saw in March. Let's